Rat Fink. What should we talk about first? I have so many questions. I'm trying to keep them short.
The first question.
The first question.
From
Well, I
where?
want to know about your book, Once Upon a Fiend.
I got an opportunity about 18 years ago to collect all my fiendish memoirs, my memories, the things that I could remember, what situations I was put in, and etc. And a friend of mine called Pete had just written a book about Northern Soul music, which is a big scene in the UK. And he'd just done this book, and it was rather successful. And he said to me, "So why don't you just write a book about, your memories and what your time was like with Alien Sex Fiend? Because you was a member of the fan club, you was a fan of the band, and why don't you just sort of jot things down, and I'll try and see if I can put something together." So he came over one night with a bottle of wine and a sort of a dictaphone, and he sort of just interviewed me and asked me questions, and it went on and on and on. It was very interesting. And then he just said to me, "Just leave it with me." And about a month later, the postman came with a manuscript of this thing, and I was just like, "Oh my God, what is this? This is bizarre." So it came out in 1990. Would have been 1990? No, 1999 it came out, I think. Wow. Yeah, 1999. The wine's kicking in. And, looking back in hindsight now, to be honest with you, there's quite a lot of stuff in there that I wish I hadn't really put in there, because it was like I was sort of vexing a little bit about how things became with me and Nick and Chris and stuff, but it was just at that time. It's a cool book, and if you're a Fiend fan, it's a cool insight to my dream, because it was a dream that came true for me, and it's all about the gigs that we did, my rehearsals with them, meeting Alice Cooper, doing all the shows, the breakup, my first marriage. It's just an insight. It's just it's not it's not an in-depth sort of autopsy of my life with Alien Sex Fiend, which I wish now, looking back, I could have gone into a bit more stuff about it. But it came out and it did quite well. It sold about 1,000 copies, and it did all right. So I was quite honoured and privileged that I could write a book about my time with Alien Sex Fiend. I know there's a lot of it's a bit drab, a bit silly, some of it going on about Marilyn Manson, which I wish I'd not really put in the book, really. I think Marilyn Manson, I think he just pissed me off at the time. Somebody sent me a tape and said, "Hey, right, have you heard of this band from Florida called Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids?" And I was like, whatever, yeah. But when the Fiends were never,
I like that part.
The Fiends were never about being commercial, though, and I could understand where it was coming from, and I think I was just a bit sort of, just a little bit frustrated, because I knew how successful the Fiends were becoming, especially in America.
Yeah.
And I think being at that age, I just wanted a little bit more success and a little bit more, I wouldn't say the word fame. I just wanted a bit more sort of more stuff going on,
Yeah.
More money would have been really good. But hey ho, it was a superb experience, and there's something I'll never forget ever, because I was a fan of the band. And for anybody to join a band or a film crew or be in a film of something that you absolutely aspire to is mind blowing. And that's what exactly happened to me,
Yeah. I mean, that's a really awesome story. And do you think you'll be maybe writing another book just like about you?
It's been discussed, because I've moved on a lot, and it's been discussed, and I think I've had a few offers, and it's just getting the time to do it. With me and Kat run the business and the kids and time. It's just finding the time to do it. And also running the show and doing other things. And I've spoken to my dear friend Cherry, and he was telling me that one of the girls from the Runaways, Lita Ford, I can't remember if it was Lita or not, but one of them had wrote a book years ago about their life with the Runaways. And anyway, she readdressed it many years later, and it became really, really successful. So maybe I'll readdress it, but not at the moment, you know.
Yeah, yeah. This question has come up a lot, so I just made it like an interview question. People wanted to know like what inspired you back then, what inspired you in 1995, and what inspired you in 2010, and what inspires you now.
95? I can't even remember 1995. 95, I think I was getting into a stage because I wasn't with Alien Sex Fiend. I mean, I left Alien Sex Fiend in about 90, 93,
Yeah.
94. I can't remember. I was getting into rock and roll music a little bit more. I wanted to sort of get in. I've always been influenced by bands like the Stooges and the Dead Boys and the Alice Cooper Band. And I just got involved with a band that was doing that kind of stuff, you know, and we was just writing punk rock and roll songs, and that's what I was doing. So I got away from doing the Alien Sex Fiend stuff, and I was doing more dirty rock and roll music, which
Yeah.
I've always loved anyway. So I was drumming a lot more, and I was in a punk band called Dog Food, and they were great. They were just dirty, very Stooges orientated, very Detroit in your face rock and roll, which was great. And so in '95, that's what I was doing. And what was the other year?
2005.
2000.
2000.
The year 2000. I think I was still. I think I was still playing with my punk band at the time, but I was in another band called the United States of Mind, and we did kind of a trippy Frank Zappa, Captain Beefheart kind of sound. It was great. So I did that for a couple of years. So I've always been doing stuff. I've always
Always.
been doing,
Always
always, yeah,
making music. Yeah.
yeah.
The question of the hour. What's going on with, Vince the Ripper and the Rodent Show?
Well, there's no more Vince Ripper anymore. He's decided to go into a world of the residents or whatever he's doing. But me and Vince just aren't working together anymore. So, but I've got a new guy, and I'm announcing the show on the 1st of December, which is this coming Saturday.
Yeah.
And the new show is called Dr. Diablo and the Rodent Show. So it's still the same. It's just that I've got a really cool new guy that's going to be with me on stage. It's still going to be very, very similar. The songs are the same. We're doing stuff off the old albums. It's just a new guy. It's a new personnel, but he's a very different character to Vince. He's more upfront. He's going to be singing, backing tracks with me and doing different things with me. So yeah, watch out. The new show is going to be coming up very, very soon, so I'm very pleased about that.
A lot of your fans are going to be really excited about this because someone I've never said anything, but someone, I don't know if it's been announced or not that Vince Ripper's done, but DJ Ralph Enigma, who's released the Bats DJ, he DJs there a lot. He was like, I'm so sad that it's over.
Not over.
He was like, yeah, so this is gonna make him and a bunch of other people happy because people really love your music and appreciate your music, and
yeah,
you've got great stuff, and my dad was talking about the Boneyard yesterday.
Well, it is. That's what we call it. We call it the Boneyard. And the reason, if anybody's been on social media recently, the reason why I've been doing these little lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4 on my social media, it's basically the influences that creates the Boneyard. And then come Friday, there's going to be the initial one, what the Boneyard's all about. They're all my influences. They're all my influences of the reason why I do the show.
Yeah.
No one's cottoned on yet, and there's all these people that have liked it and like, oh yeah, I love the Stooges, I love Alice Cooper, and I love the Cramps and Alien Sex Fiend, but no one's cottoned on of why I'm doing this. And there's a specific time in the day when I'm announcing it as well. So it's it's just a kooky thing on Facebook. So the Facebook police don't get on the case, So, but there will be a big announcement on Saturday.
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I'm screaming inside. for Saturday, because Saturday is in 2 days.
It is, and we're still
2
doing the
days
same.
time.
We're still doing the same stuff. We're still fusing and splicing Alien Sex Fiend with Cramp songs. We're still doing the suicide stuff. We're still doing the show is exactly the same songs, but we've got a new guy, and this new guy's really, really cool and really funny, and he's very creative, and he's very different to Vince Ripper. Um, Vince Ripper was a great DJ. That's what Vince used to do live. He used to spin the backing tracks and I used to sing over the top of them. But this guy's very, very different. Dr. Diablo is more of an engineer. He's more of a technician. He's a set designer. He builds amazing things, and he's more full on.
Yeah.
And he looks great. Wait to see the photographs. He looks so cool, and he's really, really funny. And we just work really well together. The rehearsals are going really good. So yeah, things are great at the moment on that front.
That is awesome. I'm so excited. It's like your fans, including myself, are really thankful for you and anyone who continues to give the world music, because it's like, you have certain bands that they just stop and they don't do anything else after that. You'll have like maybe one person from that band that's still doing music, but sometimes nobody's doing music. And
You know, that's a really cool thing because a lot of people say to me, why, you know, we do covers of songs. Of course, they are covers of songs, right? That's
yeah.
something I need to stress. But we do them in our way, but there's still Alien Sex Fiend and Cramp songs and suicide songs and stuff. But we put a different approach on them. We sort of give them a new lease of energy. They're a
Mhm.
slightly different style, But with the new guy, we will be doing our own stuff, but not just yet. We're just
Ooh.
waiting until we will be doing our own stuff eventually. But the whole thing about the show is that
Mhm.
it is the reason why we do these songs. We pick on Alien Sex Fiend and we pick on the Cramps, and even on the new album we picked on David Bowie, the B-52s, the Misfits, Suicide again, of course, Hawkwind. So the recent album Planet Shockorama, we've picked on some really, really cool people, but not picked on them, but we've just grabbed their songs and done something different with them,
And I
but
and,
not
and
but not
that's
being
amazing.
not being disrespectful at all to them. It's just something that's part of the show,
Yeah.
you know. And keeping the Cramps alive is something very important to me,
Yeah. The
you
Cramps
know.
is from what I've heard from other musicians, the Cramps are like very special to a lot of bands that played, basically like in London or in Manchester and the scenes over there. The Cramps, for some reason, I've heard.
Well, with the Fiends, we were going to support the Cramps, but we'd just come back from an American tour, and it was kind of difficult at the time, and the negotiations were kind of tough and stuff. But we were due to go on a big American tour with the Cramps, but we just couldn't do it because we'd just come back off tour,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's draining, and it's Nick and Chris used to finance everything, and it was very difficult to sort of balance the books all the time. So it would have been amazing for the Cramps and Alien Sex Fiend to that'd have been something else. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Wow, that would have been something else.
I bet. No, yeah, that would have been really cool. Really,
But
really cool.
I think that was probably around 1991. I think maybe 1990, maybe can't remember exactly, but yeah. Okay, next question, darling.
All right. Okay, just gonna ask this. I've a lot of the, and this is gonna take like away a bunch of fan questions because I just feel like it's appropriate to ask because everybody's gonna ask. So I'm gonna name countries, and then I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay,
South
let me have
South
a.
Africa. Oh, you do that.
Okay,
South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, France, and the United States want to know, are you gonna come and play here?
The big question is a resounding possibly. That's all I can say. I'm not going to say yes, and I'm not going to say no.
That's just enough.
Because it could happen. It definitely could happen. Next year is going to be great. So there's lots of cool things happening. So definitely, I think America is probably a big green light at the moment.
I'm excited. Okay.
Los Angeles.
Yay! That's gonna be fantastic if you get here.
Yeah.
I think all of Oakland, everyone from California will drive from far just to come see you.
Yeah. Well, we can do that. That'd be crazy. Even like I said to you a while ago, even if we just do a couple of shows,
Yeah.
we fly in from the UK in our UFO, land down in Los Angeles, rig the show, speak to loads of cool people, drink lots of tea, and do the show, and then fly back home in our UFO back to England. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Like in a
It
puff of
would
smoke.
be. Would be. I'll make sure I have tea for you. I
Please.
brought tea for Anne Marie when she was here from Skeletal
Uh,
Family.
She loves me. Me and her get on really well. We did a show together about 3-4 months ago in Manchester.
I love her.
She said to me, "You are a very scary man, but when you take your makeup off, you're a very lovely man." Oh,
Aww.
yeah.
All right. A lot of people ask questions. This is always sometimes a general ban question. Sometimes I don't ask it. Sometimes I'll leave it to the fans. But when I get like a lot of most asked questions by several fans, I'll add it in anyways. This was asked 6 times. Six
Six
times.
times.
And
Wow.
they're all asked differently, but they're basically asking the same thing. And so what a lot of people are asking is, what is the music scene like from the 80s to now? What is the difference to you? Do you see a difference in the scene itself, um, the people that go?
Yeah,
Um,
that's a cool question because we do Whitby Goth Festival pretty much every year. So
Whitby?
yeah, Whitby Goth Festival. Yeah,
Yeah, my dad is always trying to get me to go. I haven't been
yeah,
able to make it.
it's a really big thing, and there's a lot of different. Imagine the big tree, and then you've got different branches coming off the tree. So you've got sort of the Gothic vibe, which is the big tree, and then you've got branches. Now, off the branches, you've got steampunks, and you've got vampires, and you've got electro, goth punks. There's so many different things that have happened over the years, and I think I suppose it's become a healthy thing, but it's become a very different thing
Yeah.
because when I was growing up in the early '80s, goth was a slight offset of punk rock, but it was more into horror films and into Alice Cooper and into putting crazy makeup on and having big black spiky hair, but still listening to bands like The Damned and The Clash and The Pistols and stuff. So it's still, for me, it still had the element of the punk thing, And I think now what's
Yeah.
happened, it's moved on and morphed into this fucking fashion statement thingy
Yes.
kind of, you know. It's
Yep.
like, hey, look at me,
Yep.
I've got black hair and I'm a goth. It's like, well, yeah, but another thing as well that I wanted to stress with you as well. So many people thought Alien Sex Fiend were a goth band, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I was so removed from the goth thing. I wasn't into goth music, and I don't think Nick and Chris were really into goth music. We were like Nick was into Salvador Dali paintings and listening to Can and Captain Beefheart, and then we'd listen to AC/DC, then we'd listen to Ozzy Osbourne, then we didn't listen to goth music,
Yeah.
whatever goth music was.
Yeah. What
We'd listen,
goth music was labeled, right? Yeah. My dad told.
we didn't. I didn't listen to bands. I wasn't into bands like The Mission and listening to Spear of Destiny and Fields in the Nephilim and Sisters of Mercy. That wasn't me. That wasn't me at all. I didn't. You know, but I used to have black hair and leather jackets and makeup and Doc Martin boots and stuff. But I was into the Cramps and I used to listen to bands like Discharge and GBH and,
Love
you know,
Discharge.
hardcore punk bands. So like, yeah, I used to like Black Flag from, you know, the American hardcore scene. So, but when I saw the Fiends, it was a completely different thing because it was like it was like a different angle on what was going on in the scene. Nobody was
Yeah.
doing what the Fiends were doing. Nobody.
My dad said that you can't really label the Fiends under any genre.
No,
They're their own entity.
they. I think what it was with Alien Sex Fiend, and it stuck with them for good or for bad. I'm not too sure. You'll have to ask Nick and Chris on that. But it stayed with them because of the Batcave movement and
Yeah.
what was going on in the early '80s and that Batcave scene. But the Fiends were more. The Fiends were more punk than punk because Nick and Chris, you know, and Yaxie and Johnny, they did their own thing.
Yeah.
And when I joined them, I had that ethos about me anyway. And it was the same. That's why the Fiends, when I joined them, fitted me like a glove because me and Nick used to get on very well. We used to just laugh at the same things. And, you know, and it was such a weird adventure for me to do all that with the Fiends, you know, because I came in being a drummer. And then
Yeah.
when Yax left, Nick said, "Why don't you play guitar?" I went, "I can't fucking play guitar." He said, "Well, I said, "Well, my brother showed me how to play a few bits on a bass guitar once, and then I just got my head around it and started playing guitar." So I became the replacement for Johnny Hart, and then I became the replacement for Yaxie High Riser. So it was just a fucking super weird experience. But getting back to the main question, I just think the whole scene's sort of regurgitated at the moment. I think it's just it's okay. It's okay, but you know, I think times have changed dramatically from them days. You know.
Yeah, they have. What I noticed is there's a post punk movement. Everybody has a post punk band. There's so many post punk bands coming out. There's nothing wrong with that. I think
No.
that's great. But it's a lot. It's a lot. Like they're just coming it's like trending. Um and I think the cool thing about these bands that are coming out is that they don't just attract the goth crowd, they attract hipsters. But they attract two different types of people and bring them together. That's
Yeah.
cool, you know. And I appreciate bringing people together instead of everyone being you're goth and you're hipster and you're cyber and you're this and you just love each
Yeah.
other, you know.
I can totally understand. I can totally understand the togetherness because it's really important because there's not many of us around anymore like there was years ago, and we've all got to stick together. And I can understand that completely. People that are a bit left field and people that are a little bit different, we've all got to stick together, whatever we're into, whatever our kind of thing is, because society is so fucked at the moment.
Yeah.
So many people are fucked. You've got fucking kids that are like so blinkered because they've got chavvy fucking parents that don't know anything. And then the kids get into crime and they get into shit and they get into fucking shit music. And it's a shame. So, you know, I waffle a bit when I'm on stage and I talk to the crowd and talk to people, but I tell them stuff that's going on and they kind of appreciate what I'm saying, even though I'm just waffling. Society's fucked at the moment. And I think if we can all still enjoy the harmony of what the sort of underground scene has created, I think that's the most important thing at the moment. So pigeonholing stuff and putting stuff in stuff, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter to me so much anymore,
Yeah.
as long as everybody's happy. And I tell you what's really, really cool. I know people, whatever they might say about Alien Sex Fiend or whatever, it's great that the Fiends are still doing what they're doing. And I'm carrying the can. That's why I do the show. You know, people might go, well, you've got makeup on like Nick and you're singing like Nick and this and that. But it's not that. I fuse all my character into all kinds of people. And when I'm doing an Alien Sex Fiend song, I want to portray it
Yeah.
and give it that delivery. If I'm doing a Cramp song, I won't mimic Lux because Lux was from Ohio and I'm from Lancashire in England. So, but I'll try and give that vibe into the Cramp song, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just a performance. It's like a clown putting clown makeup on and coming out and doing a performance. And that's exactly what I'm doing, really. And I'm not trying to upset anybody, or I'm not trying to over impress anybody. I'm just trying to keep something going,
Yeah,
because I
you
don't know if
are.
we're never going to see the Cramps anymore. That is a serious number one fact. And I'm
Yeah.
not too sure if Nick and Chris are going to tour so much anymore. So if I can get the opportunity of flying the flag for both the bands and I can still do it in my show, that's the reason why I want to do it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And your fans do appreciate that. They appreciate your stage presence. Very
Yeah.
much so. Everyone I've heard of is like, I was at this show and you did this and this. It just sounds amazing. And I'm jealous because I've never been able to see you live. So I
You
hope I
will.
get to. Yes. Whether I go to
It's just
visit my father or you're here, I'll find a way to see you.
it's just kind of funny because what's happened over the years, I know I'm not working with Vince anymore, but what's happened over the years, it's the thing created into this. It's like alchemy. It's like kind of witchcraft that we've created, but not on purpose at all, because we're not into that. But we've created this kind of, or I don't like people stand at the bar. I'm not one of these kind of people that plays in front of like a pool of people at the front. I want everybody at the front. I want everybody to get involved in what the show's about, because it's only a short show. It's about a 55-minute show. So it's not very long at all. But when people come to our shows, I want people to just get into the madness and
Yeah.
have a good time for that length of time, and that's really important to everybody that's in the room and me performing it. So party on down.
Well, I cannot ask you any more band questions, even though I have many more. Maybe we can do this again in person.
Why don't we I tell you what we can do. We should do part two in the spring.
I'm so down for this. So would your fans be. I have so many, but I was gonna ask a few of your fan questions for you.
Go on.
Um,
Yeah.
all right. If I could join your band, would you let me play synths, or would you just want me to roll around on the floor around the chords?
Roll around on the floor. Definitely.
What do you do outside of music, and what makes you happy right now?
Um, Me and my wife run a tattoo studio. My wife is an absolutely stellar tattoo artist, and my wife's called Kat, and I'm the manager of the studio. So I make sure all the artists are fully booked up and run the studio, and it's great. And the studio is called Hello Sailor Tattoo Studio in Blackpool. It's really cool. And aside from that, we have two boys that we look after. I'm a family man, so we're looking after the boys all the time. We're looking after the business. And when we come home, we have a glass of wine. We watch kooky movies. We laugh and joke with each other. So aside from doing the show, that's pretty much what the rodent does.
Aww. The other question is a funny one. We're at 30 minutes. I'm gonna ask one more, so I'm gonna.
Okay.
What can you give me as advice in starting my own band and continuing to be creative through the years? Yeah.
Don't listen to don't listen to anybody. Don't listen to anybody. Just take your own advice. And especially if you're playing drums or guitar, make sure that it's really loud and you've got all the same people that are believing in what you're trying to do. That's the only advice I can give you. And listen to the Cramps.
Yes, it's a good one. So we're gonna wrap this up. Would you like to anything you'd like to leave us with?
I'd just like to say that Vampire Freaks in LA are the awesomest, coolest vampires on the planet. And Vince and not and Dr. Diablo and the Rodent Show will be visiting LA to be me. We're going to party on down. Get ready.
Yes! I'm ready. I'll bring you some wine and some tea. And some...
And rum. I like rum as well. Rum.
Yeah, I'll bring you some of that.
You better. Cheers.
Cheers.